The invitation to join my friends on a camping trip in the remote woods seemed like the perfect escape from the monotony of everyday life. We set out with high spirits, eager to immerse ourselves in nature's embrace. The first day was a blur of laughter, hiking, and setting up camp near the edge of a tranquil lake. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the woods seemed to transform into a realm of shadows and secrets. As night settled, we gathered around the campfire, our faces bathed in its warm glow. Stories and jokes filled the air, pushing aside the unease that lingered just beneath the surface. The crackling fire seemed to ward off the encroaching darkness, but with each flicker, the trees seemed to sway in response, whispering secrets only they could understand. As the fire dwindled, we retreated to our tents, our flashlights cutting through the inky blackness. I curled up in my sleeping bag, exhaustion tugging at my eyelids. But just as I was about to succumb to sleep, a faint rustling sound reached my ears, followed by a soft, eerie hum that seemed to resonate from the depths of the woods. I dismissed it as a trick of my imagination, the result of the wind rustling the leaves or the nocturnal creatures going about their business. Yet the hum persisted, growing louder, more insistent. It seemed to vibrate through the ground, resonating with my very bones. Curiosity outweighed my fear, and I unzipped the tent, peering out into the darkness. The moon cast an eerie glow on the forest, its light revealing the twisted forms of trees that seemed to dance to the rhythm of the haunting hum. My breath caught in my throat as I realized that the sound was not coming from the woods. It was coming from within the mist that hung low over the lake. A creeping sense of dread settled over me, but the hum held me in its thrall, drawing me closer to the lake's edge. The mist swirled, and from its depths emerged a figure, a woman with flowing hair and a tattered dress that seemed to blend with the fog itself. She stood there, her eyes fixed on mine, as if she had been waiting for me. The hum grew louder, morphing into words that I could feel reverberating in my chest, as if they were being whispered into my very soul. "Join us," the woman's voice echoed, a melodic plea that resonated with a sense of longing and sorrow. Fear and curiosity waged a battle within me, but before I could react, the mist enveloped me, its cold tendrils wrapping around my limbs. I had always been drawn to the wilderness, to the allure of unexplored landscapes and the thrill of survival. So, when the opportunity arose for a solo camping trip deep in the heart of the forest, I eagerly embraced it. Little did I know that this journey would take me to the very edge of terror and madness. The woods were alive with the symphony of nature as I set up camp near the edge of a tranquil lake. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows among the trees. The crackling fire provided comfort, its warmth driving away the chill of the approaching night. As darkness settled, I crawled into my tent, exhausted but exhilarated. I awoke to the sound of leaves rustling and sticks snapping. My heart raced as I strained to listen, my senses on high alert. There it was again, a faint, echoing footstep that seemed just beyond the range of my vision. I dismissed it as a trick of my imagination, my mind playing tricks on me in the depths of the wilderness. But then, a whisper danced through the night air, a barely audible voice that seemed to call my name. Panic gripped me as I unzipped the tent, peering into the inky darkness. The woods stretched before me, silent and still, as if mocking my fear. I returned to my tent, convincing myself that my isolation had fueled my unease. Yet the whispers persisted, growing louder, more insistent. I huddled in my sleeping bag, the sound of my own heartbeat drowned out by the chorus of eerie voices that seemed to surround me. As the night wore on, the whispers took on an ominous tone, a haunting chant that reverberated through the air. The trees seemed to close in around me, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Shadows danced on the tent walls, their forms twisting and contorting in unnatural ways. Fear gripped my throat, but I was paralyzed by the unknown. With every whisper, the darkness seemed to press against me, its weight bearing down on my chest. I clutched at my ears, desperate to block out the tormenting voices, but they seeped into my mind like a poison, infecting my thoughts with madness. The night became a blur of horror, a ceaseless nightmare that refused to release its grip. Time lost all meaning as the whispers grew louder, each voice distinct and filled with anguish. My mind teetered on the edge of sanity, and I felt a presence, an otherworldly force that toyed with me, feeding on my terror. Just as I thought I could bear it no longer, a blinding light pierced the darkness, banishing the haunting whispers and shadows. The dawn had arrived, and with it came a blessed relief from the relentless torment. The forest seemed to retreat, the oppressive weight lifting from my chest. I emerged from my tent, weak and disoriented, to find the woods as they should be, a serene landscape bathed in morning light. I packed my belongings hastily, desperate to escape the memories of the night. As I left the campsite, the memory of the whispers lingered, a chilling reminder of the terror I had endured. Back in the safety of civilization, I tried to convince myself that it had all been a nightmare, a product of exhaustion and solitude. But deep down, I knew that the abyss of echoing pines held secrets beyond our understanding, a darkness that could devour even the strongest minds. Months passed, and the memory of that night began to fade. But then, one evening, I was walking through the park, and I heard it, a faint whisper that sent a jolt of fear through my veins. I turned, but there was nothing there, just the rustling of leaves in the wind. The whispers returned, more insistent this time, filling my mind with an overwhelming sense of dread. Panic seized me as I realized that the abyss of echoing pines had not released its hold on me. The voices were back, and they were hungry for my sanity. Desperation drove me to seek answers, to uncover the truth behind the haunting whispers that had invaded my life. I delved into ancient texts, seeking knowledge of the wood's dark history. And what I discovered chilled me to the bone. The lake near my campsite was said to be a portal, a gateway to a realm of malevolent spirits that fed on human fear. I realized that I had been chosen, a victim of the abyss's insatiable hunger. The whispers were a siren's call, drawing me back to the woods, to the very heart of the darkness that had tormented me. As night fell once again, I found myself standing at the edge of the forest, a mixture of fear and determination coursing through my veins. The whispers beckoned, their haunting melody tugging at my mind, and in that moment, I knew that there was no escape from the abyss of echoing pines. I stepped into the darkness, my heart pounding, the voices growing louder with every step. The forest closed in around me, its malevolent embrace pulling me deeper into its depths. And as I disappeared into the shadows, the whispers became my reality, my mind consumed by the haunting chorus that echoed for eternity. The allure of an uncharted hiking trail deep in the wilderness was too tempting to resist. My friends and I set out on a crisp autumn morning, our backpacks heavy with supplies and our spirits high with adventure. The trail started off easy, winding through picturesque landscapes and tranquil streams. But as the hours passed, the path became overgrown and hard to follow. Despite our efforts to backtrack, we found ourselves lost, surrounded by thick woods that seemed to close in around us. An unease settled over the group as the sun dipped below the horizon. We set up camp, our nerves on edge. The night air grew colder, and a sense of being watched sent shivers down our spines. As we huddled around the fire, strange sounds echoed through the woods, footsteps that seemed to match our own, distant laughter that sent chills down our spines. We brushed it off as our imagination, attributing the eerie sounds to our disorientation. But then, the trees themselves seemed to move, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Shadows danced in the periphery of our vision, and the wind carried whispers that sounded like our names, calling us deeper into the woods. Fear clutched at our hearts, and panic set in. We decided to leave, to find our way back to the main trail. But every step we took seemed to lead us further into the heart of the forest, as if the very landscape had shifted to keep us trapped. Hours turned into an eternity, and exhaustion gnawed at us. We stumbled upon an old, decrepit cabin hidden among the trees, a refuge from the unknown horrors that surrounded us. Inside, we found a journal filled with cryptic entries, recounting the tale of a group much like ours that had ventured onto the forgotten trail, only to meet a gruesome end. As we read, the cabin seemed to come alive. The walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and the journal entries seemed to shift and change as if the very words were rewriting themselves. Panic set in, and we tried to leave, only to find that the door had vanished, sealing us within the cabin's haunted embrace. The night was a torment of whispered voices, shadowy figures that danced on the walls, and a malevolent force that seemed to feed on our fear. One by one, my friends vanished, consumed by the darkness. I was left alone, the journal's words etched into my mind. As dawn broke, the cabin returned to its silent, desolate state. I stumbled outside, shaken and broken, to find myself standing at the edge of the familiar trail. But something was different. The trees whispered, and the path seemed to beckon me, as if daring me to venture onto the forgotten trail once more. Haunted by the memory of the lost souls who had tread this path before me, I turned my back on the woods, vowing never to return. The forgotten trail remained a chilling reminder that some places are best left unexplored, and that the lure of adventure can lead to a darkness that devours all who dare to tread its path.